Hi, everybody. How are you? I hope you're doing well today. I am putting my phone on silent because I forgot to do that earlier. And you never know who will call. Which salesperson. Hi, Eve. How's it going? I have to show you my, a friend of mine told me, hey, you need to set up a ritual and sell it and like celebrate the fact that you've been going so long. And so yesterday I went to this little store downtown that sells all local stuff. And I got, can you see? They're just made by this local company. I got TARDIS earrings. It was my good job. Keep going till the end. Exactly. Happy Friday, Marta. Thank you. Yeah. So these are my good job. Keep going earrings. I guess it's kind of apropos, right? If it's the TARDIS and about time travel and all that kind of stuff. So tonight is really probably going to be really uncomfortable to read. So I'll probably be like reading and not looking at you a whole lot because I don't know. I would like to think that I wouldn't be uncomfortable reading about this. What happened, and I'll go into this, but when the girls were talking the whole, oh, you should watch porn. And I was like, why? Like, why? And so it became this funny, it's a really funny chapter. It's pretty specific. So as I said in the description there, it's specific without being gross or, like nothing like that. But it's pretty, real. So, unlike the rest of the book, right? So that's it. I totally forgot my tea too. So we're just gonna power through tonight and get to it. Like I've got, I guess, let's look here. So sorry, I'm doing this like right in the middle. If you have ended up here because you've seen me this on Facebook or from a friend, I am reading my book, The Oat Project, How I Faced My Fear and Came of Age in One Wild Summer. This book. I'm reading this out loud every night at 7:30 until we're done, 7:30 Mountain Standard Time. And we're almost done. We are right here, 3/4 of the way through the book. And in the description of this is a link to my new YouTube channel for kind of the next thing I'm going to be doing. And it has a playlist, and so you can catch up and listen to all the episodes. You can put it on your headphones. You don't have to watch me like stumble and cry. We don't need that, right? So that's what we're doing here. Thank you for joining me. The reason I did this is because I am writing a sort of guide companion, not quite a workbook, but sort of. I have an agent who has told me to send it when I get it done, and so, or a proposal. But I needed to read my book to do that, and I just knew that I would. It's just refeeling everything has been intense. I knew it would be intense, and I would like to think that I would have done it without meeting you here, but I really felt, I don't know, just that it was the right thing to do, to share it with you guys. And it is for myself, but I've discovered that it's also for you, from my heart, but also just responses. And so I really appreciate you walking through who I was in 2007 and all the deals that I dealt with and have since really let go of a lot of them. So it's crazy. Know that I have to refeel everything to really read it properly. And so, bring on the tears. I never know. It's like it's a surprise. I'm not practicing before I get in front of you. So, I'm never sure when that's going to come. So yeah, then two things to know as I'm reading. There are italics throughout the book that are inner thoughts. And so occasionally, as I'm reading, I will, it'll change to first person within the narrative. So you'll hear that. And then there are parentheses throughout the book too that indicate sort of a side timeline and commentary from current day. This was published in 2016. The link to the Amazon listing is in the description as well. And I comment where I felt it was needed throughout the narrative. Okay, let's do it. All right. Corn. Here we go. Just start right off. My penis history. I first saw a picture of a naked man when I was 6 years old. My only friend outside church or school who lived down the street snagged a Playgirl magazine from her older sister's hidden stash. I recall knowing her sister was naughty. It was like knowing I wasn't supposed to look at the nursing bra photos in the Sears catalog, but I did. We fried ants under a magnifying glass, sending them straight to hell, and placed pennies on the railroad track to be smashed while we watched from a few feet away. I'm happy I did that. The Playgirl man had dark, longish hair and scads of black body hair fluffing around his enormous penis. He lay on his side, one leg bent with one foot on the floor. This man seemed the most confident man I had seen in my short life. He smiled at me, and I never forgot him. The only other time I saw... Oh, man. You guys, my dad. Okay, Dad, just don't listen. Oh, God. It's surreal. Just stop and then come back. Okay. The only other time I saw a penis before getting married was in high school when I walked in on my dad getting out of the shower. Ag! My parents were not overly modest and walked around in their underwear all the time. But naked? No. I was in college when my teenage brother grabbed himself through his jeans as I stood next to him one day. "What are you doing?" I yelled. "Shifting gears," he answered disdainfully. "How would you like it if I suddenly did this?" I grabbed my ample even then breasts, mashing them back and forth. He blushed and stopped shifting gears. Percy, my then 4-year-old son, danced, quote, shaky, shaky, the minute he could walk at 8 months old. Naked, his perfect bottom swayed back and forth, swinging his penis like a pendulum, his antics inspiring Sage, 3 years older, to join him. They pranced around the house, Sage hanging her thin finger between her slim legs, looking remarkably in proportion. I often tried to get Jack to stay naked for a while after his showers, my then husband, after his showers so I could look. I hadn't seen the naked male body, okay, grown-up penises, often enough. Do I want to see other men? I don't think so. At least, not in person. That's a decision I made when we got married. One penis only. Maybe it should be part of wedding vows. Parentheses. Reading this hurts. 9 years later, I put my hands to my cheeks in awe of my naivete and inexperience. We had been married 9 years. I can't play the victim. I don't recall asking Jack to shower with me. I don't recall holding and gazing at his penis. I was so uncomfortable with my own naked body. How could I have extended out to reach for his? Do I wish he'd reached for me? Explained how his dick worked? Yes. But he was almost as inexperienced as me when we married. Perhaps he thought he was doing what I wanted by keeping me at arm's length. I don't know, and he could never pinpoint it. Porn, the devil. I had 1 week to finish tasks. How do I feel about this? Nervous. This task was the one to which my Christian friends reacted most negatively. I lost one friend with her letter and her husband's words, quote, "Porn almost ruined my marriage, and I can't see how you can do this and call yourself a Christian. But go ahead and get drunk. I don't have a problem with that." It typified the Christian response to the project. Some sins are acceptable, others are not. I had seen neither of them since. Sexual sin has particular gravity here in Colorado Springs, home of over 100 parachurch ministries, including Focus on the Family and the International Bible Society. We watched Pastor Ted Haggard grow a megachurch from his living room. If I had stayed in church and followed my father to attend Haggard's New Life Church, 14,000 members at its height, I surely would have ended up singing on stage, leading thousands in worship, because those are my gifts, leading in worship, having sung in church for years in front of thousands. And my dad led the music for a weekly prayer service there. So in 2006, when Haggard was caught high on crack while having sex with a male prostitute, it hit our city hard. He lost everything: his church, his position as president of the National Evangelical Association, and his home, because of sexual sin. I remembered shaking his hand in the crush of the crowd after New Life's annual multi-million-dollar Easter production, replete with Cirque du Soleil acrobats, to which my dad and stepmom invited me. Haggard stood next to a devil. Parentheses. I applaud Ted Haggard's recent return to ministry here, founding a church that seems radical in its acceptance of anyone and its focus on helping people in concrete ways. I hope he's found redemption that includes acceptance of himself. Journal. And journals are like that. Fears about tonight. 1. These images might corrupt my mind, self, and spirit. Am I heading for the spiritual depravity my Christian friends feared? Am I already there because I'm willing to go through with this? 2. Will my imagination warp, making me want to do the things I watch? 3. Will I get addicted to the titillation? Need it to get turned on? Oh, hang on just a sec. I can't see very well, and I was just like, it's all dark. So, that's why. Okay. Hi again. Sorry. I just needed more light. Okay. I can see. Okay. 3, what I'm afraid of. Will I get addicted to the titillation? Need it to get turned on? This is really the kicker. These are not art, please. It is titillation for money, and that bothers me. Food additives, white sugar and flour, chemical buffers in skin products. Porn is like these for the soul of sexuality, diluting, degrading, and coarsening. But I'm dancing around it. I'm afraid I'll need to watch it all the time. Because I masturbated for so long, I haven't yet seen myself to be anything but undisciplined, morally weak, unredeemable, and flawed. Will porn ruin me? Parentheses. So I scorned my friends' views of porn And I scorned the concept that porn could be art and part of a healthy relationship. 9 years and the end of my marriage later, I've not yet watched porn with a lover. Report. Popcorn like that, and parenting. I was surprised to learn that Erin and Sarah did not know each other well, being fellow moms at our kids' school. They were getting better acquainted through me. Happy making. Erin and I arrived at Sarah's house where her friend was smoking on the porch. Inside, we all chatted while I made popcorn. Olive oil and a few handfuls of popcorn, swirl, cover, turn on the burner to 7. I asked Sarah for a large bowl, salt, and spoons, and cocked the lid as the corn popped fast. I dumped the popcorn, adding oil and salt in layers, stirring. As I passed it around, Sarah held up one of a tall stack of DVDs. This one is great. There's a girl who eats sushi off another girl's belly. I like it, she said. The cover of one of them blared, "Seductive superpowers." I want seductive superpowers, I said. We all have seductive superpowers, said Sarah. Have you guys seen Orgasmo? Asked Ellery. Yes, last night, I said. Really? Are you serious? No, I said. They laughed. Are you kidding me? That's why I'm here. So what should we watch? I brought straight porn, said Ellery. I don't care what we watch, I said. I'm also not sure what she means. Like versus gay porn? It's your party, Janae, said Sarah. Tell us what you want. I looked around at these beautiful women looking at me. I didn't know all of them, and though I suddenly felt shy about the whole thing, what was I thinking? I also knew they needed me somehow. Courage. You wanted me to talk about why we're here, asked me what I was writing. What's the deal, Janae? Asked Ellery. She can tell I'm avoiding. It's just the whole fear thing, I said. Are you feeling fear right now? Asked Ellery, looking around. I don't know why that part chokes me up. It's when people are compassionate, it chokes me up. You know? Are you feeling fear right now? Asked Ellery, looking concerned. No, not at all, I said, looking her straight in the face. No, I can pull this off. You lie, said Ellery, laughing. And I gave in, laughing too. You've seriously never seen porn before? Asked Sarah's friend. I've seen naked boobs, like in R-rated movies, but not, they interrupted me with their laughing. Have you ever seen the back of a pussy before? Asked Sarah. My breath left my body. Not until I flipped through the books you loaned me, and it was so... I have no words, actually, I said. Yeah, no. I've seen several, said Sarah. Ooh, I've seen a lot of pussy. Her eyes twinkled, but her expression was also a matter of fact. My mind blanked, imagining seeing, quote, pussy. Should I be calling my vagina pussy? I didn't realize that you could, and I had to stop. So uncomfortable talking about it. It's practice to talk to you guys, because after the book comes out, I'm going to have to actually say these things in public. Keep going, Janae, say the words. I didn't realize you could see everything from behind, I said. I was thinking of Jack and having sex with him and what he saw or noticed or thought. Am I pretty to him from behind? One of the first possible titles of the book was Nice People Have Oral Sex Too. And I paused for the laughing, but they didn't laugh. Instead, they all looked shocked. Oh no, I know nothing. What? Asked Sarah. I took a deep breath. I didn't realize that until 2 years ago. Really? Asked Sarah. How long have you been married? Asked Ellery. 9.5 years. They looked confused. Jack wasn't very experienced, and I was a virgin before we got married. I feel guilty somehow, like I should have known. It's weird. I'm even like having some like Shame. I'm feeling some shame or guilt about that. Still, it's weird. Admitting it, you know what I mean? And like, whew. I feel guilty somehow, like I should have known. How old were you? 28, I said. They looked shocked. I'd read Harlequins from 5th grade to 12th, so I thought I knew a lot about sex. They did laugh then. So we knew a little and then had kids, and we've been tired from that, I said. I hear you on that, said Ellery. I don't know when my children sleep, I said. How old are they? Asked Sarah's friend. 7.5, 4.5, and 1.5, I said. And they're wonderful, but they're also little energy suckers. What changed 2 years ago? Did you just bump into oral sex somehow? Asked Sarah. I was pregnant with Leo, and I was so very horny. I mean, we normally have sex 3 or 4 times a week, but I could have jumped strangers. Jack was tired. Of sex, I said. They laughed. This must be funny. I must make it funny. Almost. They laughed more. What are they really thinking? You have sex that often? Asked Sarah's friend. Yeah, I said, surprised. Don't you? Is that normal? I was reading Janet Ivanovich's One for the Money and Diana Gabaldon's Outlander, and they had oral sex, and it hadn't occurred to me it was something good people do. And one mundane sentence is burned into my memory, like what his fingers and mouth did down there. I mean, I was raised conservatively, but it's not like anyone actually used the words oral sex, but it seemed like masturbation, which was bad. It doesn't make babies, said Ellery. At my church here, I heard an entire sermon against, quote, sex with yourself, equating masturbation with adultery against God, I said. They looked horrified. The box. I just realized that's kind of a pun. For a few years before this, I had begun to see that I was still walled in by a box of habits and judgments from how I had grown up. The cracks in that wall began to become conscious in 2005, my 7th year of marriage. I was pregnant with our 3rd child and horny as hell. This wasn't unusual, even when not pregnant, but I seemed more amped up than ever before. Jack was tired from his job, from being a parent to young children, and wasn't as interested in sex as I was. His drive had never equaled my own. I had been a virgin at 28 when we married. I shall not recommend waiting to my children, but we did have sex more often than many, I've since learned. I always wanted more, wanted him to want me more, and suddenly was wanting all of it even more than usual. I couldn't masturbate either. I was married after all, supposed to be having actual sex, not sex in my head with my own fingers. So I turned to books. I started with Janet Ivanovich's One for the Money. She blew my mind in the first chapter with her graphic description of fingering. I was offended, but kept reading, hooked on the characters, coming to see them all as normal after a few chapters. Then came the oral sex. I stopped, confused. Was oral sex normal for everyday people? I put off thinking about it, chalked it up to being normal for pulp fiction, and plowed through 1 book a day, checking out 4 at a time from the library. Next up was Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. Again, I found myself reading an oral sex scene in which Claire, the main character, a strong, intelligent woman with whom I identified, demurred. Jamie, one of fiction's most appealing men, laughed at her squeamishness and pleasured her right through it, comparing it to a natural animal drive, saying that he liked smelling and tasting her everywhere, even down there. I was deeply confused. These characters Gabaldon created were supposed to be realistic. This was high-quality historical fiction, not pulp. If this was normal for romantic relationships, why had I never known that oral sex was okay? And why hadn't I heard this from my own husband? He was an awesome, funny, smart, and kind guy, but he consistently joked and disdained how intense I was. especially about how often I wanted sex, how much I liked to touch and be touched. I initiated physicality far more than he did. I had been trying hard for so very long not to mind his words and attitude. I kept trying to make myself less intense. He loved me, but simply wasn't demonstrative. I knew it. But back then, when I was so insecure, I figured he didn't reach for me because I wasn't attractive enough. You see, I had been taught that the unselfish route was to find the fault inside me for messed up situations and to change myself. But with this, that felt unfair and unworkable because, according to these books millions had read and loved, I discovered that for once I wasn't unusual. Gabaldon's words plunged me into a profound longing for Jack to want to know my body like fictional Jamie wanted to know Claire's, every nook and cranny explored and familiar. I yearned for him to be like a native in the country of my body instead of a tourist. So, thinking the whole problem was simply a lack of knowledge, I mustered the courage to ask Jack about oral sex. My discomfort with talking about sex, parentheses, present even now, years later, made me stutter, hesitate, and blush. So, I have a question for you. Yeah? He asked. So, did you know that, I was reading in these books, the ones I've been getting from the library, the gardening books? No, the romances, and that one about Scotland, I said. Okay, what about them? He asked. So, in all of them, in fact, the characters do, well, the writer treats oral sex like it's just normal, I rushed on. And well, it's like something everyone does, part of knowing each other. And, well, I was wondering if you thought that and knew that. Yeah, I did. Parentheses. So began the end of my marriage. I tried so hard deep inside myself to not feel cheated. I refused to let even the thought enter my brain, though I felt like screaming, but I didn't. You did? Yeah? Why? Well, as I swallowed, then took a big breath, why haven't we done that? He shrugged. I don't know. I felt like crying, but I wouldn't. My jaw clenched, but I didn't show it. I kept my tone light and even playful. Well, do you want to? Want to what? Try it. See what it's like. I held my breath, though I didn't realize it at the time. Sure. Okay, I said. Though I knew that, quote, sure was what he said when he didn't really agree or want to do something, off I went. This was something about which I knew only what I'd read in those books. Jack didn't seem to know much or didn't want to talk about it. Clearly, research was in order. This was my role. As I had done with every new need in our marriage, from buying a washing machine to finding help to parent our spirited children, I emailed links and info to Jack. Then we talked about what I found and made the decision together. I started as usual. I Googled it. I typed in oral sex, and my jaw dropped. Good Lord. My contacts dried as I didn't blink for a while. My eyes were so wide. Though I found solid, specific help, it floated in a sea of porn. Still, I found enough fascinating information from biological to psychological. I felt like a kid in a candy shop. So much fun stuff to maybe try. Jack never looked at what I sent. I didn't harp. I have plenty of flaws, but nagging isn't one. I brought it up that week, and he said he hadn't had time. A few days later, he hadn't yet found the time, so I stopped sending him links. waiting for him to mention what he'd already received. I thought maybe he was going to surprise me with action. A few weeks later, he still hadn't read anything. I had asked twice. I tried to stop hoping. A few months later, I gave him the Kama Sutra for Christmas, thinking maybe he hadn't been interested because all the information had been online. He looked happy enough to receive it as he tore off the wrapping paper, laughing knowingly, seeming to even flirt a little. I read it in one ecstatic night, then placed it on a side table. Dust formed on and around it. He never picked it up. To my knowledge, he never read anything. He did try oral sex a couple of times, but what I read colored my perception of it, and it was clear that he didn't know what I did. Parentheses. Since learning a little more about it over the last few years, my inexperience was a handicap for both of us, and I didn't know enough to consider that he may have felt threatened by my research. But back then, in that moment, in the context of years of struggling to get closer to him, it was just one more way he was not turning toward me. End parentheses. Did his never picking it up bother me? Of course. Did I think it was an indication of a deeper problem in our marriage? Yes. But though I had started to consider that it might be more his problem, my instinct was to think it was because I was too intense. I wanted too much, felt too much, noticed too much, analyzed too much, too much, too much, too much. Though I had begun to resent his attitude, I felt Jack was right to disdain this flaw in me. I had been admonished for it all of my life. He simply confirmed it. This was where we were as a couple, where I was as a person. Its walls were built from the thick, stony fear of conservative, evangelical culture, of thinking from 4th grade on that I was damned for masturbating almost every night, damned for wanting to do so in marriage, damned for being so sexual and so generally too damn much. I was bound. And though I had judged myself by those chains for years, they were finally becoming visible. Meeting Mats. There. Okay. But after reading those books, I asked Jack about it, and he said we could try, I said. So it was a mutual thing, asked Sarah. Oh, yeah, I said. So did you guys practice constantly after you discovered it was okay to do oral sex? Sarah's friend asked gleefully. They all grinned at me. No, I said. Their eyebrows rose. I mean, I was pregnant, and then I had Leo, and maybe I went into a long justification of why Jack hadn't initiated exploration because of his personality, ending with, it's just not him. And they didn't ask more about it. But then I gave him the joy of sex, saying, read it. And 2 weeks later, I asked him, have you read it? And he said, no. Did you say, I can tell, one of them said. And we all exclaimed with, oh, harsh. I can't imagine saying something so mean to Jack. Although, would it really have been mean or simply truthful? We have a book called The Art of Cunnilingus. Okay, I already say it wrong. Called The Art of Just gonna hang on. Okay, let's try this one more time. We have a book called The Art of Cunnilingus, if you'd like to borrow it, said Sarah. I knew she was being kind, but it felt cruel of her to offer. Does that word have any connection to cuneiform? Is it writing in a way? I should know how to be metaphorical with sex. I didn't even know that term until I did all this research, Sarah, and nothing has happened yet. I felt I should be forthright, but wanted to talk about something else. Someone mentioned autofellatio, and the conversation turned to Ron Jeremy. That ugly cum guy, said Sarah's friend. I guess I've realized that, and I stopped because Sarah's husband walked in. Hey, oh, sorry. I totally, hang on. People, I turned my phone on silence, and it's my child. Okay. Thank you for your grace. Oh, video thing. Sarah's husband walked in. Hey, are my parents around? He said, cracking us all up. He left, and I said to Sarah, I was about to say masturbation, and they laughed. And I've never met him. Oh, you haven't? Asked Sarah. No, I said, blushing, and I don't think I want to right now. He walked back through, and she introduced us anyway. He said, I need my laptop charger. You guys can borrow it later. They joked about the porn they watched and their sex toys and how he'd be wearing headphones while we partied. And I loved how open and free their relationship seemed and wondered if mine would look like that someday. Have fun, I'll be downstairs if you need me, he cooed as he left. Go down, baby, she said. Jack lets Percy choose which old Star Wars movie to watch, and he always picks The Empire Strikes Back, saying, I like Jabba the Hutt. I said, and Jack says behind his hand, he likes seeing Princess Leia all chained up in that bikini. Kids can be such pervs, said Sarah's friend. I was about to spank my daughter one day, and her brother's friend was standing there, and my son asked him, do you want to watch? And he just stood there nodding yes. Oh my goodness, I said. Spank? I thought. People still spank? Liberals spank? Parentheses. I don't know if it matters that this was almost 10 years ago. A little perv is what he is, she said. Who's a little perv? Asked Sarah. My little boy's friend, she said. Who was being spanked? Asked Ellery. I could hear her voice trying not to judge. My little girl. Yes, that's right. I spank her. She's insubordinate. I don't spank her much anymore, though, said the friend. When you become a teacher in Mississippi, you get a paddle with your first job teacher stuff, said Aaron. I only spanked her a few times because she was screaming in my face, and I was like, stop it, said the friend. I've spanked my kids. I'm not going to lie, said Aaron. The last time I spanked her, it was because I was frustrated and angry. That's exactly why I did it, said Aaron. We were walking across the parking lot, and I hit her too hard, and I've just never gotten mad enough to spank her again. You know, because it felt wrong, said Sarah's friend. She sounded wholly regretful. I was trying so hard not to judge them harshly. I'd never spanked my children, even though I'd been spanked until I was 10. I had come close, knew how intensely frustrated I could get, and had none too gently dragged them kicking and screaming to their rooms or outside a time or two. Empathy, Janae. This friend of mine, spanking wasn't working, I said. His mom didn't know what to do. He was 10, and she sent him to his room. She came in a few minutes later with a belt and sat down next to him and said, I don't know what to do anymore when you do the wrong things, because this, and she held up the belt, this isn't working. And I don't think you understand how much it hurts me to hurt you. Wow, said Ellery. She said, so tonight you're going to spank me. They all exclaimed, no way, what? Oh my God, that's like setting a kid up said Aaron. Oh, I didn't even think about that, I said, reading her silent space as perversion. That's some weird stuff, said Ellery. Well, but she was like, I think you need to know. So she made him spank her, and they were both bawling. He said every time after that, before he did something he wasn't supposed to, he thought about it, because he finally understood what it felt like for her. Wow, they said. There was really nothing to do but start watching porn. Corny porn. I'm trying to get it in focus. Okay. First up was an Annie Sprinkles retrospective. She reminded me of Victoria Jackson, with her pixie makeup, long black pigtails, and high, breathy voice. Is this an archetype? Did Victoria Jackson know she was like Annie Sprinkles? Chicken? Egg? She told the history of porn with clips from different eras of both film and sex techniques. Excuse me. This is called, and this is how I did that. See that light come on? That's the pussy cam. I can't do her voice. I should try to do her voice. This is, her voice squeaking, pussy. Oh, dear Lord, on and on and on. The men and women of early porn were giddy and boisterous, all with pubic hair. In one scene, Annie and two other girls, I don't know how to put it otherwise, worked on two guys to make them come at the same time. They licked, pulled, rubbed, and stroked both shaft and balls, hands going from one to the other. Reminds me of those jugglers who balance plates on sticks, keeping them spinning at the same time. Then, late 1970s or early 1980s, Annie shaved off her own pubic hair for the camera. Why? I know this isn't a new practice by any means. They've done it in France and Asia for years. I'm not against smooth skin, but it seems to me doing this in real life would be counterproductive to sensation. I said this, and someone said, well, it's aesthetic. For the camera, maybe. But the hairy 1970s people seem to be having more fun than the clean-shaven 1980 stars. The purpose of hair is solely hygienic, to catch dust and dirt, protecting tender tissue, said Sarah. With modern cleanliness, it's not necessary. But if it were meant solely for hygiene, why is there a nerve at the base of every hair? I asked. I was nervous, contradicting my friend, someone with so much more experience, but I went on anyway. Think of the depth of sensation we miss by not feeling each individual hair. Then multiply that, hundreds, thousands of hairs moving back and forth. What if porn felt like that? I think that's what's missing. My mind went back to one of the first times Owen and I got coffee. I was telling him something, I don't remember what, and as he listened, he ran the tip of his finger over the hair on his arm. I shuddered involuntarily. Thinking about it, days and weeks later, still shook my whole body. It was as though his hair was mine and his skin was mine, and I could feel each hair activate each nerve at its base. Parentheses. I was so blind to myself. I went on. Do any of them go slow? I mean, sure, they have the pussy cam. Why not use it to show the small, more intimate parts of sex? Their mouths were slightly open, eyebrows raised. I'm surprising them. I think that's where porn loses power. If it focused on accessing that level of sensation, maybe I would get more turned on. So far, the focus on intercourse or fake intercourse or ejaculation makes it feel empty. And I don't mean they should focus on romance or meaningful relationship, but I hope some focus on all the ways of turning men and women both on, viewer and actors. I thought, why no close-ups on hairs being plucked one by one like harp strings? We went on to the next video instead of discussing it more. It was an 80s music video. Men and women barely dressed Renaissance style lip-synced while cavorting in castles and fields. My favorite was To Fuck or Not to Fuck. Oh my goodness, I thought. I'm going to think of this every time I see or read Shakespeare for the rest of my life. In, quote, 1001 Nights, a guy who looked disturbingly like Danny Kaye was transported via a magic carpet to far lands, each with women waiting for him. I repressed a yawn, almost bored. I guess maybe I'm a bit turned on, but it's so mechanistic. No story got in the way of the fucking. No seduction, only fake coyness. Authentic coy takes guts and skill to pull off. The not looking more powerful than the looking. The sex was like a language with no vowels, experts with no subtlety, a piano tuner who doesn't play, bright, flat lighting, and choppy editing. It seems that low budget in this case meant low creativity. Does higher quality porn exist? But these are made to make money. Duh, Janae, I should have known this. I'd expected a movie, but these were videos. They were absurd and didn't do much for me, if you know what I mean. Parentheses. The woman I was in 2007 got shy about being descriptive, though she knew her own body. By, quote, if you know what I mean, I meant I wasn't wet, breathing shallow, or clenching. The woman of 2019 still gets uncomfortable talking. Okay. Next up was The Suicide Girls, a documentary about a punk rock burlesque group touring the world. The film was beautiful, full of fun, meaning, beauty, and boobs. The girls were gorgeous, fit, and talented. They talked about how they had been different from everyone else and how great it was to find the suicide girl community online. And when they were accepted as official suicide girls, they could be themselves. Excuse me. But as I watched the inspiring stories, I saw that though they were different from larger society, they'd found a remarkably uniform tribe. Yes, it was certainly different from society's norm, especially in 2007, but it was a uniform. Dyed hair, piercings, punk rock or pinup style makeup, tattoos, displays of flesh, boots or heels, fishnets. Are they stronger because they found a place to belong, or weaker? What's the value of finding a tribe compared to being the odd man out? We were all either very quiet or exclaiming talkative while watching. Boy, she's got a good body, said Sarah, but I won't say it. What are you thinking? I asked. I hate her, she said. We laughed, nodding. I felt detached from what I watched. I see that, and I think of the director saying, okay, men, now everybody whack off. At about 10:30, we were getting sleepy, trying to decide whether to watch more. Ellery mysteriously mentioned one she'd brought, saying only that it was, quote, very informative. She set it up on the computer while we dawdled, looking at the covers of other videos. Have you seen the movie Kinsey? Asked Sarah. My grandparents lived next door to them at Indiana University. We all exclaimed, and I said, I'm 3 degrees from Kinsey. That's crazy. And B.F. Skinner on the other side, she said. Wow. We talked about childbirth and fifth-level tears and the dangers of episiotomies. My doctor induced me because he wanted to go on vacation, said Sarah. Mine wanted to go golfing, I said. Don't get me started. Ellery, whose face was ready and expectant, piped up. So, this is the very first video this woman ever did. Her stage name is Cytherea, and she has the unique ability to ejaculate. Oh, I said. What exactly does that mean for women? I was intrigued, but not hopeful. Indeed, I felt a little numb, unconvinced any of this would add to my sex life. Cool, yeah, said Sarah. If you want to see someone squirt and squirt and squirt, this is it, said Ellery. It is so darn long. It was like a home video. Cytherea leaned back against a chair and cushions and started masturbating. Is she trying to turn herself on for the video? I asked. I think she's turning everybody else on, said Sarah's friend. Oh. This is legendary on the internet, said Ellery. Really, I said. It's one of the few videos you ever see where the woman is so turned on that there's an obvious contrast to the usual porn. I need a picture of us watching her, I said, half serious even as we all belly laughed. We alternated between hilarity and silence, watching. She had never met the guy she's with, said Ellery. Oh, I could never. I could do that. They all said things. I didn't see who said what. I wasn't sure what to say because some days maybe I could. Well, she's kind of having sex with herself, I said, and the guy. And this is all real, said Ellery. Why is it famous? I asked. Because she can ejaculate on camera and is possibly one of the few examples of a woman getting off on camera, said Ellery. Parentheses. Still, so much mystery around female ejaculation. Science hasn't quite nailed down what it is or why it happens. Oh, the man in the video had been fingering Cytherea. And she has pimples on her, big ones on her bottom. I was thinking that. Wait, I said, is she touching herself too? We were all quiet as we watched her writhing in ecstasy and spurt. Whoa, I said, no way. We exclaimed inarticulately and didn't finish sentences in awe of the man's sword-sized penis. It's like she has to figure out what to do with it, said Sarah, and we all laughed. And these girls all shave everywhere. It would burn, I said. Yeah, and if your hair grows on the inside of your labia, which is common, then it tears, she said. Cytherea's cries became louder than our conversation. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. She spurted a little higher, soaking the man. Hey, I read that the clitoris is actually a penis, but inside, I said, at the end of Cytherea's second round of orgasms. And some stick out more than others, thus different-sized clits. True, said Ellery. Then the man slid himself into Cytherea as far as he could get, and even though it wasn't all the way, it was insane. How frustrating it must be for him to never get all the way into someone, said Sarah. We were on Cytherea's third round of orgasming. Man, she is the fucking queen. Right? I said. And as she summited Oh My God Mountain again, her ejaculation arced towards us, and we exclaimed, whoa, in unison, and then all laughed. That's water, off stage or something, said Sarah. That is a lot of water. It's not water, said Ellery. That's her. No, said Sarah's friend. That's her? Asked Sarah. That can't be her. That can't be squirting, I said, not even understanding my question, really. It is, and she's dripping all over, said Ellery. Wow, was all I could manage to say as Cytherea worked up to her fourth round. Are you sure it was her? Yeah, said Ellery. It becomes more abundantly obvious. We all got close to the screen to scrutinize the pools of liquid Cytherea. It's clear, see? Not phony, I said. So is this cut or all one take? All one take, said Ellery. That's what I like about it. Real time. We continued to alternate silence with wows, and we rewound it to look at her more closely. It was in the silent spaces that I noticed my body was completely turned on, wet and slick. If I tried only a little, I could come right here in front of all of them. Boy, how does she keep going? I said. Oh my gosh, how did it go that high? Wow, wow. We all wowed together repeatedly. What is making all of that? There are 2 glands between the opening and her G-spot, but there are 2 or 3 other steps involved, said Ellery. It's still a bit of a medical mystery. Cytherea sounded almost like she was in pain. I can't take it anymore, Sarah's friend said, mimicking her. We were on round 5. Well, Cytherea was. Jesus, said Sarah. Yeah, I breathed out. Amazing. But there's a cut. Yeah, there are a few after this. But we still watched in silence. Suddenly, we all breathed out, exclaiming as Cytherea's cum arced over the man. We'd been holding our breath. If you could do that, you'd have to become a porn star, said Sarah. Quiet again, watching what felt like orgasm 142. I'd like to know more of the story behind this video, said Aaron, because she knew she could do this, and so she filmed it, and someone decided to sell it. She needs water at some point, said Sarah, cracking us all up. It makes me want to start doing Kegel exercises, said her friend. If I do Kegels, I can't concentrate, I said. I get too turned on. They laughed. It's one of the defining characteristics that make men and women so different and strange to each other, said Aaron. We can orgasm pretty much anywhere we want without anyone knowing, and they can't do that. It makes men feel vulnerable. Maybe that's why men start wars, said Sarah. It is. It absolutely is, said Aaron. I'm so glad I stayed, said Sarah's friend. We ended the night talking about sex in the Bible and on the road and MySpace and online conversations and Dan Savage. The first Dan Savage column I ever read was about breastfeeding fetishes, I said, where the men suck the women into lactating. What? Asked Aaron incredulously. Even now, someone could get me going again, I said. Are you done nursing Leo? Asked Sarah. Yeah, mostly, I said. I mean, yes. I had to in order to get a tattoo. Nursing was one of the most positive experiences I had, said Sarah. I would lactate during sex, said Aaron. Yeah, totally, I said. Jack never tasted it. Didn't seem to want to know. We talked of boobs and babies, nursing and how old we all were, and the childbirth cable channels. Our conversation seems poignant now, knowing that a little while later, Aaron would have surgery to fight breast cancer and beat it. You never know. I held up Sarah's stack of porn and asked, which of these would you recommend I watch by myself? These are really nice, said Sarah. What about these? Asked Ellery. They're so fun, said Sarah, but more like burlesque than porn. This one I really like too, but it's punk sex. We laughed more. Pigtail punk girl, said Aaron. That's what we decided would be my stripper name. I'd be yoga girl, I said. Nice. I had a feeling we'd all be searching, quote, Cytherea on our computers when we got home. Midnight, Broadmoor, good night. Sorry, I'm falling down. Okay. I hugged them goodbye and grabbed the last bit of popcorn, and sat on the couch between Sarah and Ellery. They looked at me. My panties were uncomfortably damp, and my body was still humming from Cytherea. I did not tell them. So, Janae, said Sarah. So, Janae, said Ellery. So, I said, blushing. How you doing there? Asked Ellery. Fine. I'm fine. I thought, she's not going to let me stay silent. When is your tattoo appointment? Asked Ellery. Phew, I thought, she's letting me off the hook. Next Wednesday. And what do you have left on your oat list? Asked Sarah. Lesbian clubbing. Ooh, said Sarah. I'm going up to Denver with Aaron and Owen tomorrow night. Fun, said Ellery. Full body massage, which is scheduled the morning of the tattoo appointment, I said. They hummed. And skinny dipping, I said. I'm worried about that one, actually, because if you get caught and prosecuted for public nudity, they put you on the state sexual offenders list. Even peeing in public is illegal. I had asked the advice of friends over the summer, researching instead of doing, as usual. Monument Valley Park Pool, said Sarah. Said my friend Scott. Horrified at so public a place, I said, will I get a ticket? Oh, please, he said, rolling his eyes. No cop is going to give you a ticket. One of my Christian friends grimaced and said, are you trying to get hit on? What? Of course not, I said. Where would I? But that's not what this is about. And I can't sit on the sidelines, you know. No, I mean, if you're going to do this, you might as well do the whole thing, she said. We didn't talk much after that. You're braver than me, said B. But I'm not. But it's for the book. It's work, so I have to do it. Still, she said, looking at me in the same slightly odd, slightly skeptical way I would see many times from many people. Go to an apartment complex, said my 20-year-old babysitter. That's where my friends and I go. So despite all that research, I sat on a couch after watching pornographic videos, and Ellery said, let's go now. It was after 11, and my mind and body were struggling to process what my eyes had seen. Well, technically I'm not supposed to do 2 tasks together, but I suppose one after the other isn't cheating. And I thought, I love these gals so much. They would make it fun and easier to be brave. Let's do it, said Ellery. Okay, I said. Where do you want to go? Asked Sarah. No idea, I said. I feel so unprepared. It fully dawned on me. Researching for tasks had helped me overcome fear all summer. Most people do these things with no preparation and little thought. They jump and see what happens. Have I gone about this entire project in precisely the wrong way? People have suggested that Econo Lodge on South Nevada or Broadmoor Lake. Sarah's face lit up. The Broadmoor? Yes, let's do it, said Ellery. A giddy impulse to risk took hold of me, and I discovered myself saying yes. So we piled into my car. We got lost because around the Broadmoor, this is your Bermuda Triangle of the Springs, said Ellery. Wrong way, Janae, I said. I get lost around here every single time. We drove the miles around the hotel complex, trying to find a way to the lake without going through a gate. No luck. We almost gave up, but on the way out, I said, let's just ask. Ask who? Said Ellery, sounding alarmed and delighted. The guard at the gate, I said, driving down the main road, leading like an arrow to the front of Colorado's only 5-star resort, its pink stone glowing in floodlights. They were silent as I rolled down my window for the man coming out of the security hut. Hi, I said, blasting my best smile. My friends are here visiting from Texas, insert drawl, and we just got to talking, and they're leaving first thing in the morning, and time got away from us, and they really wanted to see the famous Broadmoor. We were afraid it was too late. The guard wedged a "Hi, ladies" into my ramble, bobbing his head to look into my clearly not Broadmoor caliber messy car. Is it all right for us to take a roam around? It's so pretty, I said. Of course, he said. You drive right onto the front and the valet will park your car for you. Then you ladies can take all the time you need. Thanks so much, I said as we passed through the gate. After about 5 seconds of silence, we all burst out laughing. Oh my God, Janae, said Sarah, you were so convincing. I never would have imagined you could lie like that, said Ellery. Amazing. If it's for a prank, I can lie like no other. I said, it's like acting. I should be ashamed, but I'm proud. I handed off my junky car to the valet, his midnight bow making us smile, and we sallied forth into the opulence. Might we be walking back, soaking wet, or in handcuffs? Once through the lobby, we went out the back doors to the sidewalk around the lake. It was dismayingly well lit. Are we allowed no darkness these days? I hoped to find chinks in the Broadmoor armor, so we walked. Some parts of the path were closer to rooms, and I wondered if people could hear our conversation and what they thought of it. We sang as we walked for a while. Porn came up again, And Sarah said that sometimes, even though it felt truly intimate in person, it also made her feel unoriginal. She sounds so tender and vulnerable, I thought. I'm really quiet during sex, I said. Should I be admitting this? Is it too private? But these women seem to have good sexual relationships with their husbands, and I suddenly wanted to tell them every single thing that might be wrong or had gone wrong with my married sex. The trouble we'd been having loomed in the dark. You are having trouble? Asked Sarah. Maybe it's a habit because of the children, or I don't know. I wanted to say more and ask more, but it got quiet. I'm afraid of what they're thinking. I thought the medley video was more real in ways, even though it was fake, I said. I mean, my orgasms are maybe 1/10 as long. Is that typical? Maybe we just haven't done it enough? Did I just say that out loud? I thought we've been married almost 10 years. Oh, don't worry, said Ellery. Porn exaggerates. Well, said Sarah, it's different and better now after being together for so long. We peeked over the hedge around the beautiful day spa, feeling like little girls, wishing we could be pampered. Rounding the far corner of the lake, we diligently looked for a way to get to the water, but a 10-foot swath of jagged rocks surrounded it. Besides the fatigue, we seem to have much better sex when I'm pregnant, I said, because I can't get pregnant. We adore our children, but it's been wholly overwhelming. My body and mind can't handle birth control, so we use condoms. So the fear of getting pregnant seems to put a damper on everyday sex. Have you talked about a vasectomy with him? Asked Sarah. It's a no, I said. He didn't want to circumcise our sons. I didn't either, mind you, and we didn't. But I think the idea of surgery horrifies him, and I can't blame him. I thought, do I sound as hopeless as I sometimes feel? So, what kind of man are you attracted to, Janae? Asked Ellery. Dark-haired, grumpy men with accents, I said, laughing. We have a dad like that at our school, said Sarah. I don't want to know that, I said, still laughing. Why did I say that or think it? He's a philosophy professor. I saw him. Long hair, a little older? Yeah, and he's really sensuous and flirty, she said. I felt it walking past him at school, I said. I told him of Jack's quipping, good thing we don't have a Latin gardener so many Halloweens ago, and we giggled. Yes, it is a good thing, said Ellery. Parentheses. For years after this conversation, my heart sped up, my tongue tied, and my face blushed every time I saw or talked with this philosophy professor dad. Hi, bud. I think we need to seek the wild more in our lives. I'm determined to not stop doing this, to make it an everyday thing, like breathing, I said, as the hope of skinny dipping waned. Maybe not every week, because I'm tired. There's a festival for spring right around my birthday, said Ellery. It's very wild. I thought, what would very wild look like to her? Naked bodies dancing around a fire? The only dark section of the path was around the boat launch, where the famous Broadmoor swans crowded the water. We considered jumping in. Swan poop, I said. They joined me with an ooh, and we let go of our naked agenda and headed back to the car. It was almost 2 a.m. I want to go through one of my normal days, but instead of saying, thank you very much, I'd say, thank you very much, ass munch, said Sarah. We giggled to non-speech. You know, I didn't know ass munch had concrete meaning until I watched those videos tonight, I said. Like when I'm getting my groceries. Have a great day too, you slut. With a big smile. You have a great day too, dickwad, I said. I'd never be able to do it. What a perfect cutie pie, you little motherfucker. What a cunt you are. breathless with laughing and the sheer wrongness of it. I could barely drive. So inappropriate. So wrong. I was at a wedding last night, said Sarah, and when we were driving away, I meant to say, well, that was a success, but what I said was, well, that was an excess. And it was. I hate weddings. I hated my own, I said. They looked shocked. I mean, I loved it, but I hated it, I said. Everyone looking at me. We kept ours low-key, but it was still crazy, said Ellery. I tried to go low-key, but with hundreds of people and a big church, it was impossible, I said. We had a potluck in the mountains with no decorations, said Ellery. I made my own dress. Oh, I wish I had rebelled earlier like her. I actually wore, I can't remember the brand, I said. It starts with a C. Cunnilingus, Sarah said, still giggling. Dior, I said, Christian Dior. I went to the store up in Denver with my friend, and I thought of her. The friend who had hung up on me when I told her about the project. Parentheses. Years later, we reconnected, and she said she'd been so overwhelmed with her own life's chaos that seeing me change was too much. And the sales lady offered me a floor model, and though it cost a little more than I planned, it was perfect. Cotton seersucker for a Florida wedding. I looked the best I've ever looked in my life. Oh, that's good. Although, this will tell you how different I was back then. The lady who did my hair stuck a bobby pin right into the soft spot on top of my head. And I didn't want to be picky and bother her with repositioning it. So the whole day, every time someone hugged me, they pulled on my veil and it dug in more. I smiled all day and never complained. And then in the car on the way to the hotel, I broke down and bawled. Weddings should not be like that, said Ellery. They should be fun, said Sarah. Hey, Janae, are you going to flash anybody out of the car? Nope, sorry, I said, laughing that crazy suggestion away. We drove around trying to find other places to skinny dip, but none of them panned out. We closed out the night discussing parenting and what people used as dildos, prosthetics. We hugged goodbye. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I'll be thinking about you as I go about my day and cuss people out in my head. Ellery and I made plans to go skinny dipping the night before my tattoo appointment. As I drove home, I realized that though I had lost old friends, I had gained kindred spirits, hopefully long life friends. I'm still friends with both of those beautiful, wonderful women. That's the end of chapter 20. We have 21 through 24, so 4 more regular chapters and the epilogue to go. So 5 more nights. Tomorrow night is the 3 J's, which is lesbian clubbing. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments and I can try and answer them. I need to reassure you that as I'm reading, I am a completely normal writer in wanting to re-edit the entire thing. I read this, if you knew how much work went into editing it, I know, I just want to keep doing it. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you again for being, that was kind of uncomfortable. It was, I'm not going to, like, why is it still uncomfortable? That was 12 years ago. I'm going to have to really ponder this. Maybe we could all get together and talk about it. Not like watch stuff, but I'm going to have to think about this. Anyway, thank you. I'm uncomfortable. That's why I'm babbling. Okay. Tomorrow night, lesbian clubbing. in which I dance with a girl. Take care of yourselves. Be gentle with yourself. There's more I could say, but I'm just, that's enough.